All right, y'all. New discoveries in the Trump assassination attempt, new information, conspiracies, maybe some shorting of some stocks. Like, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff we need to talk about. And just there's some very strategic news articles that have been put out that I feel like are very intentional just to float a narrative to sweep some things under the rug. So we're going to get into all of that in this video. Let's start with this TikTok right here. Basically detailing some of the new discoveries that you may or may not heard, and then we'll get into the rest of the information.
We now have startling new discoveries in this Trump assassination attempt. We're finding out more about the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Crooks. We now know that the day before the assassination, he went to a shooting range. And the morning of the assassination attempt, his parents, according to Fox News, called police worried about him, saying he was missing and they feared something bad was going on. We know that morning he purchased 50 rounds of ammo and a ladder. Apparently, he used that ladder to get up on the roof. There's been conflicting reports that there was a Secret Service ladder, and then Crooks used his own smaller ladder to get up on the roof. My question is, does that mean that Crooks, who was driving a car where explosives were found in the trunk, had a ladder on top of this car and drove into this protected area and parking lot without detection? We're also seeing video 60 minutes prior of Crooks walking around suspiciously prior to the assassination attempt. In fact, he was seen with a rangefinder, presumably trying to figure out distances from where he was going to set up and the stage. And local law enforcement actually called this in on the tactical comms channel for the event, but nothing was done. In fact, they lost track of Crooks between the time he was spotted with the rangefinder and when the assassination attempt occurred.
So this is crazy because this is the second time I've heard of this notification well before the actual shot was taken. We watched an interview of a Navy SEAL saying that he had on the ground resources or sources that were at the event on the ground who said that they notified Secret Service of the shooter. They asked to engage. They asked to engage, and their request to engage was declined. I don't know if you saw that. That was on Ruslan's channel. And then right now you have the local law enforcement said that they made an internal call and there was no response. So you have two different entities, law enforcement entities, police and Secret Service, who had advanced knowledge of the shooter, and nothing came of it. It just doesn't make any sense. If anything, and this is what I was saying in the other video, if anything, how come they didn't take him off the stage? If they knew that there was a threat to his life, how come just take him off the stage? Just postpone the speech until everything is secure. It doesn't make any sense.
Butler Township manager Tom Knights has given interviews where he said local law enforcement actually tried to get up on the roof, one officer boosting the other officer up, hanging on the roof, spotting Crooks. Crooks spotted him, pointed his rifle at him, and then the officer let go of the roof, falling to the ground about 8 feet and was injured in the process. Of course, we also have all kinds of video of people
If that's true, that's probably the most outrageous story that I've heard of this whole situation thus far. If that's actually true. The officer climbed up onto the roof, seen him, pointed the rifle at him. Crooks pointed the rifle back at him. The officer falls off the roof. And then still nothing happens. This is all very hard for me to believe because it's just so outlandish.
Go of the roof, falling to the ground about 8 feet and was injured in the process. Of course, we also have all kinds of video of people spotting Crooks, yelling, alerting law enforcement. But again, he was still able to get off several shots.
It's just so unbelievable. It's like my mind can't help but think like, bruh. Y'all knew what was about to go down. Y'all knew what was finna happen. And you wanted it to happen. Otherwise, there would have been action taking place. Now, who is the y'all in this scenario? I guess we'll get into that later on in this video.
Bongino, a former Secret Service agent turned into a talk show commentator, is reporting that he has been told that the sniper unit or counter sniper unit was set up in the actual building where Crooks shot from. They were supposed to be on the roof, but for some reason set up inside the building in a second floor window. Then couple that with the strange statements from Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle, where recently she said the reason why there wasn't a counter sniper unit on that roof is because it is sloped and was too dangerous. But when you see photos of the other counter sniper units, they're on a much more pitched, sloped roof than this particular roof where Crooks was located. So that doesn't make sense. And then you have the whole question of how did they identify Crooks? They said there was no identification on him and they couldn't get into his phone. Somehow they were able to identify him. And further, they say they can't really find anything on his phone, and it's only been a few days, yet they're already making the statement there's nothing definitive found on Crooks' phone. Also really strange. Now, the House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle in hopes they can get some answers. The question is, will we actually get any answers?
So, y'all could go follow this man on TikTok if you want to. This is where the video came from. So, why would we get answers, though? What's the benefit of us getting the actual answers? Everybody will go and it'll be so chaotic. People will literally be, we will be on the brink of a civil war if they actually tell us what happened. They're not going to actually tell us what happened. It's not going to happen. Now, this is crazy. And this is crazy because they're trying to say it was a clerical error. Let me just play this video. Or not.
Austin Private Wealth.
Hold on. Wait, let me go back.
Austin Private Wealth, the firm that shorted 12 million shares of the Donald Trump stock just a day before his assassination attempt, has come out this morning and said that the whole thing was a horrible...
Wait, 12 million or 12 billion?
12 million shares of the Donald Trump stock just a day before his assassination attempt, has come out this morning and said that the whole thing was a horrible clerical error.
Bro, check this out. They shorted 12 million shares of the Donald Trump stock the day before. Because they were assuming it was going to tank when he was killed. Now, the most interesting part is that this is a BlackRock linked firm. So had this have stayed on the books, let's just go into a world where he lost his life. Do you think they would have left this on the books, or do you think they would have took it off? I'm kind of inclined to think that they would have left it on the books, but that would have looked very suspicious too if they would have left it on the books. You know what I mean? If they would have profited that much money, they would have made a ton of money. They're trying to short 12 million stocks or 12 million shares the day before. And then they get caught and they say it's a clerical error. This is a BlackRock linked firm.
The statement on their website explains that the correct holding amount was 12 contracts or 1,200 shares, not 12 million shares as was filed in error. They are blaming this mistake on a third-party vendor that increased the number of shares by a multiple of 10,000. But the craziest part to me is that they filed the report on the 12th but didn't amend it until the 16th. You would think that with such a huge error, as soon as the weekend was over on Monday the 15th, that would be the first thing you would do. Why would you wait until Tuesday the 16th when all of this information about your trading activity broke on social media? They say that they deeply regret this error and the concern that it caused. And I absolutely bet that they do. My question to you is, do you think this was an error? As always, let me know what you think about all of this.
They deeply regret getting caught, is what somebody said. They deeply regret getting caught. Not an error, it was a plan. They were betting on that shot. Tipped off by BlackRock. I mean, I don't know how else you talk about some insider information. You couple that with the fact that the shooter was in the BlackRock commercial, and you could go down a whole rabbit hole of conspiracies. It checks out, well, at least on, I'm trying to see if there's any like reporting on it. There's very few reporting on it, but there is one report. Now, this is from the Times of India by way of MSN.com. It says BlackRock linked firm under scanner for shorting of Trump stock before assassination attempt. And you know what's weird? Tell me why today we get this article from the New York Post. It says Trump's odd and interesting relationship with the money manager who has his ear. Now, what money manager are they talking about, you might ask? Well, none other than Larry Fink. None other than Larry Fink, the dude who runs BlackRock. So why are they floating this narrative that Trump has an interesting relationship with Larry Fink? Amid all this speculation that BlackRock is involved, now they're trying to come out and say that the former president may ask BlackRock CEO Larry Fink to be his next Treasury secretary if he is elected. That is absolutely mind-blowing. On so many different reasons. My mind goes so many different directions. If he chose Larry Fink to be the Treasury secretary, there's so many different places that my mind goes. And none of it really makes sense. At least to my small, limited understanding. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why this narrative is now being floated by the New York Post when there's all this speculation. It's almost as if they're trying to make them seem like they're buddy-buddy. Now, I know he gave him a shout out. They had mentioned in this article that, Larry Fink was in the crowd and that Donald Trump at some event, I don't know what event, I don't know what the date was, but Donald Trump gave Larry Fink a shout out. And apparently Donald Trump had some of his assets in some type of BlackRock fund. And Donald Trump said thank you to Larry Fink for giving him such great returns on his investments that he was holding with BlackRock. I don't know the extent of their relationship, but the involvement of BlackRock definitely looks extremely fishy, to say the least. And then on top of that, we had this story that came out after the fact. U.S. intelligence detected Iranian plot against Trump before assassination attempt.
Under increased security at the time of that attack due to a possible assassination plot against him by Iran. An official tells us there's no indication Iran or any other country was behind Saturday's shooting. CBS News has learned that Trump was actually under increased security at the time of that attack due to a possible assassination plot against him by Iran.
So now they're coming out and saying that Trump was under increased security because there was a threat to his life by Iran, which is interesting because this story, or the request at least, according to this article, it says that they put the request in 18 months ago. So they were asking for help protecting him for 18 months, but never received a response. So they were asking for 18 months. To my knowledge, and I wasn't keeping up with the political news landscape 18 months ago, or even, 4, 5, 6 months ago. To my knowledge, have we heard anything about this story? Have we heard anything about there being a threat to Trump's life from Iran? Why is it now, after the assassination attempt, that we're hearing that there was a request for increased security from 18 months ago. It's just really convenient timing. And maybe I'm just overthinking it, but it's just very convenient timing. If you were trying to cover something up, and I'm not trying to get super into the conspiracy weeds, but if you were trying to cover something up, if you float the idea that, hey, Iran was trying to kill him, then that could potentially make you look less guilty. You potentially have an alibi. You know what I'm saying? This is Eric Trump on the Secret Service. He's asked how he feels about the Secret Service.
How do you feel about the Secret Service? So I know all those agents on stage, and they're the greatest people ever. In fact, the female that's in the picture, she's with me for a very long time, and she's one of the greatest human beings you'll ever meet. I would do anything for her, and I do anything for her. I'm telling you, Katie, they're the greatest people ever. And every single one of those people would have taken a bullet for him that day, and they did. They jumped in, and I don't put any of this on them. In fact, I laud them for their courageousness and being heroes that day. Because they could have gotten killed as well. They easily could have gotten. Those bullets were flying over them just as closely as they were flying over my father. At the same time, they moved with him to a location, right? That location's already secure. Whatever happened in terms of the setup of that location, whoever allowed a rooftop that large to be unsecure at 130 yards, whoever allowed a madman to crawl up on that rooftop with a rifle, there are real questions to be answered, and it hurts my soul because, again, I know the dedication of the Secret Service. I know those people intimately. I know their family. I know and these are some of the finest people you'll ever meet, and they would have taken a bullet for them, and they almost did that day. But there was some breakdown outside of his ecosystem. There was some breakdown, and they better get to.
There definitely was a breakdown outside of his ecosystem. The closing line that he was going to say is that they better get to the bottom of it. Now, look, I said this, the Secret Service, and that was a very classy answer. Somebody in the comments said that was a very classy answer. That was a classy answer. That was a very respectful answer. But I said this as well. The Secret Service looked very underqualified. Now, bravery aside, because they did show, when you think about it and when you watch the clips, like, their incompetence of just all around of how the situation was handled. Not saying that I would have handled it any better, because who am I to talk, from behind my desk? But it does. They do deserve respect because they were very brave in the fact that they stood there amidst gunfire. But at the same time, those individuals, majority of those individuals, if not all of those individuals, were not qualified to be protecting a former president. They just weren't. There's multiple times, even after the shot was taken, there was multiple times where Trump was openly exposed. And as the video that we watched with the Navy SEAL, if there was a second sniper waiting for a rebound shot, it could have been a very easy shot, because there was multiple times after the fact where Trump was just completely exposed. Just look at the pictures that they got. Look at the photos that were taken after the fact, how clean that they came out, how clearly you can see Trump. Now, just imagine that those individuals who took those photos had weapons. I know that's kind of crazy, but he was exposed. They should have got him out of there a lot quicker than they did. But like I said, they're human. Not everyone's cut out for it. They showed bravery, but still very incompetent, in my opinion. GOP senators chase down Secret Service director.
This is exactly what you were doing today on the call.
Stonewalling. Attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump answers.
Roger, take a left across this plaza. Far corner. This is exactly what you were.
Craziness. Crazy world, man. Crazy world. That's why y'all need to get right with Jesus Christ. That's the moral of the story. The world is crazy. You already know what's going to happen. All of this, can we keep it real for a second? Let's keep it real for a second. Keep it real for a second. We already know how this ends. Just read the Bible. We know Jesus is coming back. You see all this craziness? You see what's cooking up? Just get right with Jesus, because he's the only one that's going to save you. These politicians, look, God allows these individuals to be in positions of authority where we're called to respect them. But at the end of the day, at the end of it, Jesus Christ is the only one who can save you. That's it. So let me know what you think. Get in my comments for real, because I'm trying to see, like, what are y'all thinking about these conspiracy theories? Are they conspiracy, or do you feel like there's some legs to them? Because I feel like there's some legs to some of these theories. But get in my comments. Let me know what you think. Like this video. I'm out, y'all.